Alright, in this video I want to discuss validity as opposed to truth and soundness. So let's go ahead and look what I have up here. And validity is based on form. That's one of the most important things you can grasp. That's why when you really want to see it work, we substitute letters, like if A then B, because we don't want to really know what A is. It doesn't matter. Based on the initial essential promise of if A then B, if you get A, whatever it is, you're going to get B. So you can have something that's valid but not true. Okay, so let's take a look. If it rains, the grass will get wet. It rained, therefore the grass got wet. This is how you have to conclude it on the proposition, right? But you know, we know in real life that there is a probability that the grass won't get wet if it's under the roof, or if somehow there was a tarp over it that someone put out there. Yesterday they left it out there, and so that part of the grass didn't get wet. So we know that there's all ways that this might be qualified and all that, but in general, because of nature, it does seem like this is pretty sound. The idea that rain causes grass to get wet. You would say, well, yeah, okay, but look, it has to be outside. You know, it can't have like a pergola or some sort of like tarp roof over it, or it's got, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They can't be under a big leafy tree because, you know, the grass under there doesn't. The rain has to be really hard, you know. Yeah, I know, but you know, for the most part, if it rains, the grass get wet. So this seems to be not only valid logically, right, but also true. So we can say that it's sound. And we understand that we could qualify this a whole lot. Outside grass, not under any covering, okay, etc. Now, what about this? If the car has decals, it's messy inside. The car has decals, so it's messy inside. Is this valid? Yes, because we're affirming the antecedent. So we have to affirm the consequent. So it's valid. Is it true? Now here's where the probability gets a little more interesting, isn't it? Because we've actually done a little bit of empiric data for this. And when we went to look inside, you know, cars that have bumper stickers, cars that have clings, and you know, I had students do that experiment, and the results I get back are this: if a car has decals on it, it's going to have now that's bumper stickers and or clings. It's going to have at least 2 on it on average. And if you look inside, you're probably going to have, you will have stuff on the seats and on the floor, but you still will be able to see the seat and the floor. Okay, so that's, and we put numbers to all of that. I think I looked at 25 or 26 data sets for one semester at one time, and that seems to be the results we got. But you know, don't we all understand that there could be a fellow out there who bought a used car and cleaned it all up, but just decided to leave the stickers on, and he's really neat, and the inside is impeccable? This doesn't always hold, doesn't it? So it's probable. It's valid, but it's not always going to be true. So we understand to hold it on the level of probability. And so now probability is measured on a level between 0 and 1. 0 is impossible, 1 is certain. So probability is always in those range, but never at those ranges. So we would say like the probability here is like, I don't know, 0.6 or 0.7. All right. Okay, so this is valid, but it's probably going to be true. Now here's this: either my cat can sing, or pandas live on the moon. Now this isn't either A or B. Now what I did here is I took away one option, so the other option has to obtain. Either my cat can sing, or pandas live on the moon. My cat cannot sing. Therefore, pandas live on the moon. Is this valid? Yes, it is valid. Is it true? Well, you take each individual proposition, because in logic, truth is an element of propositions. That proposition whose meaning corresponds correctly with reality, we can call true. You know, my cat can't say. That's not true. This isn't true. Now look, this one right here is true. Okay. And this we know isn't true. Although, you know, they've never gone to the far side of the moon. I guess they have it. So here we have stuff that's actually in the propositions involved in this are mostly individually false. You have one that is true, but all of it is valid. So we can call this valid, but we can't call it sound. This we probably could call sound because it's valid and true. But this, no. So now, see, the thing is, what's pernicious about this is sometimes you'll get an argument that's filled with quite a bit of truth, but they'll have one proposition that's false. That's enough to say that it cannot, it's not sound. It might be valid, but it doesn't have to be sound. Now, obviously, if you have something that's valid and true, okay, you have a sound argument, and those are incredibly powerful. They're morally burdensome because you are bound to follow it morally. I mean, as much as one is moving away from the good and choosing to ignore truth, I believe you're morally bound to adhere to that which is sound. But you will run across plenty of arguments that are either the statements in the argument are individually true, but the whole thing isn't valid. It's not logical the way they're drawing their conclusions, so you don't have a sound argument. Or it's eminently logical, but the presuppositions or the propositions themselves individually, at least one, doesn't correspond to reality. So the whole thing is no longer sound, although it's valid. And so you have arguments that are valid, but not true, so they're not sound. Or you have arguments that the propositions of which are true, but the whole thing is not valid, so that's not sound. It's tricky because you don't always know which is at fault. Although the better you get at formal logic, you can almost always pick out the formal problems if the thing isn't valid. But the settling the truth of an individual proposition is often much harder than it looks. But well, that's I hope that's enough to help you distinguish the terms between validity, truth, and then soundness.